Following a banner year of growth, Green River Distilling Company, part of Bardstown Bourbon Company, has doubled down in 2024 with the release of its highly anticipated Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey. Makes sense considering we have seen the release of their bourbon, wheated bourbon, their cask strength store picks, and now this release, a $35 rye. Let's try it, compare it to some other budget faves. Come right back. It's the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from the Mash and Drum, and welcome back to the show. Like, subscribe, and help me hit 100,000 subscribers for 2024. So as I mentioned, a lot happening at Green River Distilling. They were purchased by Bardstown Bourbon Company in July of 2022. Last year, the brand launched Green River Wheated and Foolproof Single Barrels, which also switched to cask strength, which just basically means instead of all the picks being 119 proof, which is the barrel entry proof, much like Weller Foolproof from Buffalo Trace, they are now being bottled at cask strength. So whatever the proof is after aging 6-7 years, whatever it may be, that is the proof that you're gonna get in those bottles. They have also expanded both within the US and began exporting to Australia. Now this year, 8 new markets will see Green River on the shelves, including Nevada, Arizona, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Washington, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Massachusetts, with an eye on nationwide US distribution in the coming years. All right, so let's talk about this rye. Green River Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey is comprised of 95% rye, 5% malted barley. So that popular 95-5 recipe you all know and love. Now the whiskey is a blend of 4 to 6-year-old barrels that have all been distilled, aged, and bottled at Green River Distilling Company in Owensboro, Kentucky. All right, so let's get this poured out. Like all the other bottles before, it features their horseshoe-shaped bottom, honoring the original labeling from 1885, which tells the story of the brand through glass with 10 notches on the brand's horseshoe, referencing DSP-KY-10, the brand's original DSP number. So this joins the Green River Bourbon and Green River Wheated as the third expression in the core lineup. This is bottled at 95 proof and priced at $35 beginning February 1st. All right, let's give it a go. I have not tasted this yet, so I'm excited for this one. So on the nose, I think this is actually pretty distinctly different than a typical MGP 95.5 rye, which could be very mint forward, very, to some people a little bit more dill on it. This is a lot sweeter to me. I mean, it's gonna sound weird, but I'm literally getting like this strawberry bubblegum note on this, which is kind of crazy. It's weird. When I bring the glass to my right nostril, I feel like I smell the I feel like I smell like the strawberry bubblegum. Then when I bring it to my left nostril, that's where kind of like that rye breadiness comes in a little bit, but it's very sweet. There is a slight mintiness to it that kind of rounds it out. It's a really nice nose. All right, let's give it a try. Oh man, this is kind of nice for a 95 proofer. I think what you get on the front of the palate is your typical citrus and minty type notes, but actually, you know what? I do get a little bit of like that strawberry orange combination flavor right in the mid palate as well. And as far as the finish goes for a 95 proof, it does have a nice little finish. I wouldn't say it's a long finish by any means, but for a 95 proof rye whiskey, it does give you a little something to hold on to. Some of that spice does carry over to the back of the palate. Again, you get into like a honey or almost like a black tea type note for this one. All right, so the more you sip this, the more of that 95.5 rye comes through. I think those sweet fruit notes are starting to take a little bit more of a back seat. Maybe just need to open up a little bit. And now I'm getting into a little bit more black pepper and spice, getting some more honey, getting some more citrus. This is exactly what I kind of expected this to be. It is fruit forward for a rye whiskey, which I really like, but at the same time, it does carry over those typical 95.5 rye notes that you would get when it comes to like the honey, a little bit of that black pepper, that spice, and again, that citrus and spearmint combination. One last sip here, then we'll do a couple comparisons. Yeah, again, as you sip this, it really just turns into a nice, easy sipping rye whiskey. This is a great intro, I think, to rye whiskey for anyone for 35 bucks. You have some other ones on the market, I think, that you could, call out, which we will compare to here in a little bit. But as far as this one goes, I like the sweetness of it compared to some of the more typical younger 95.5 ryes where you get a little bit, or I should say a lot of mint, maybe even some dill here and there. But this one definitely stays on the sweet track. It's a nice balance. So let's compare it to a couple of other ryes in its price range for comparison. So there are a bunch of ryes I could compare this to, but really the ones that jumped to mind was a Sazerac Rye, which people seem to love, and also the Old Forester Rye, which is a great price as well. I don't have a Rittenhouse Rye, which I think would probably do good for a 100 proof rye, going against this as well for a really cheap rye. But this is what I got today, so let's go for it. So let's try the Sazerac first. So the Sazerac Rye comes off as minty as well, but it's a very, very sweet mint to me. And I think I do kind of get a bubblegum note in this one as well. But definitely a sweeter rye. I mean, Sazerac is pretty known for, use in a lot of cocktails. Now this does come in at 90 proof, so you're looking at 5 proof points less than the Green River. All right, let's try the Sazerac. Wow, Sazerac is also an extremely sweet rye. I would gather like that fresh fruit strawberry note along with the rye, and the mint is also present here as well. It's weird, like I don't think I've gotten this much like fruit forwardness in ryes before, but yeah, it's kind of happening today. Yeah, second sip, it really keeps that sweetness, but some of that rye spice does come into play. That Sazerac, I could see why this rye is really so well loved because of the fact of how sweet it is and how good it can be in a cocktail. Now the Old Forester Rye 100 proof, this launched a couple years ago, maybe a few years ago now, and this was kind of a darling rye when it first hit the market. Now the mash bill on the Old Forester is pretty different. It's got a high barley content, so man, but it is Old Forester through and through. This one smells like chocolate covered banana to me. Chocolate covered banana. It is hard to discern some of the rye spice on here just because of that chocolate covered banana note that it's got to me. All right, let's try it. But on the palate, it's great. I mean, this brings you into more of a cocktail vibe. I always said when I first got the Old Forester, it was literally kind of like a cocktail in the glass already, because I feel like you get these floral vibes in the Old Forester Rye. You get that citrus note. I mean, it's such a great rye, especially in a cocktail when you're talking about making either a Manhattan or an old fashioned or something classic. It just has so many nice layers to it. Now the mash bill on the Old Forester, if I remember correctly, is 65% rye. I believe the second highest grain is the barley. I think it's like 20%, and then the rest is rounded out with corn, if I remember correctly. So corn is actually the least amount of grain in this mash bill, and I think that plays into the floral parts of it, the citrus parts of it. It's got some really good flavor. And at 100 proof, I think there's a little bit more to hold on to here. The one thing the Old Forester lacks, I think, even at 100 proof, and while it does have a little bit of a higher proof, I don't think it has the black pepper spice kick that I like in a rye. All right, now let's transition back to the Green River. So coming off the Old Forester, this just blasts you with citrus. I mean, orange, lemon, not like that lemon pledge, but like a sweet lemon, like a lemon meringue type lemon. And then it gives you a really nice spice to it. I would argue the Green River brings you the most rye-like spice on the back end of it. It's very fruit forward. It's kind of a combination of the Sazerac and the Old Forester. However, it lacks that banana that the Old Forester has, and I think it has more spice. So if I had to rank these, I think the Old Forester, just based on price, might be a little bit more of a go-to, and because of how different it is. However, I like the Green River over the Sazerac. I think the Green River has a really good shot at 35 bucks to really make a lot of noise in that budget rye space. Just when you talk about other ryes it could go against on the shelf, I do have to try it against Knob Creek Rye and also Rittenhouse Rye when I find another bottle of that. But again, guys, this is gonna be solely on your preference. This is just my preference, what I like, but I do think that Green River could be a really special bottle for 35 bucks. As far as the final breakdown goes, I think if you're into rye whiskeys, especially liking cocktails with ryes, or if you just want something a sweet sipper, or you're just getting into rye whiskeys, this Green River for 35 bucks, I think brings a lot of different flavors, a lot of different layers, and I love it. I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on this and try this one. It's a great rye whiskey. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review for the new Green River Rye Whiskey. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram. Let me know if you guys are excited about this one. Are you a big fan of the Green River products down in the... Are you a big fan of Green River products overall? Do you like the wheated? Do you like the bourbon? Have you gotten one of the single barrel cast strength picks or the foolproof picks? Let me know down in the comments. Sound off. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey. It's the people you share it with. Cheers. And I'll see you next time right here on the Master and Drum. Cheers, folks.